So today I'm super excited because a new toy came in, which I'm about to show you guys. I'll be operating from my workspace, from my desk, and as this year is progressing, I've been adding different tools, different storage unit, small storage unit type things to my desk to keep it more orderly, as well as to create more creative space for me to improve my craft. So today I got a rolling mill, and it's something that I've been wanting. I've used one before when I took a crafting class, and now I'm using this one on my own. It's different than the one that I was shown to use, but it's fairly similar. It's just quite smaller, and I want to share this tool with you guys because I know it's going to improve the quality of my craft, but it'll also give you an idea of how it's used, what it can do, and some of the not troubles, but some of the things that I've noticed just by working with it for a few minutes that you might want to look out for. So this is what my mini rolling mill looks like. I'll put it next to my hand so you can get an idea of how big it is. This thing is extremely heavy. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's really heavy. It's actually nice that it's kind of small because it fits here on my workspace, on my desk, without taking up too much space. The only thing that is a little irksome is that it's not that heavy that it doesn't move on its own. So I was trying to flatten out a big piece of copper like this. This is probably 6 gauge. A lot of times people might be working with something that's like 12 gauge. Just to show you the difference between these two pieces of copper. This one is 12, this one is 6.
So it's 6 gauge is quite bigger, and you can imagine it's quite more firm. It's actually really hard to bend that one with your hand. As far as this one, you can easily bend with your hand. So I actually was able to flatten this copper wire quite a bit, which is really cool because I can see myself making a lot of bracelets and stuff in the future, and I'm going to flatten this even more. And it looked originally just like this piece of round copper wire. If you've ever ordered any different kinds of variations of copper wire, such as this kind of copper wire, this is a square copper wire, and so it has a shape of a square. You can't see it that well, but it's square versus this one, which is round.
So when you're working with a rolling mill, these are the rolling mill rolls. And when I churn it, these rolls actually move, and that's what you put your wire through. It's all oily and stuff like that because they oil the machine so everything stays running well. But yeah, when you put your copper through there, that's what begins to flatten it. And this, the people I ordered this from on Etsy, they didn't have an instruction manual on how to set it up or what anything's called, so I'm just calling these things thingies and stuff. But basically this little turn thing up here, it allows you to open up this space in between the rolls or close it.
So this is me opening it in case I'm working with a really thick piece of copper wire, and then I can close it in case I'm working with a really thin piece of copper wire that I just want to flatten even more. So as you can see, the space is getting quite thinner, and that's as far as it'll go. So it's pretty cool because you can choose the gauge. I thought in my head when I started playing around with this that I would just be able to stick this piece of copper here and just start moving it, and that it would just go through, but you actually have to set this, panel up here to give it enough space to even start off with your wire. You can't just stick it in there and assume it's going to just squeeze it on through. You have to set it. You kind of got to pinch your copper wire. And then you'll begin to move this part, which is like your dial turner thing, I don't know what to call it. So, and even this part isn't that easy to do. Because
it's not going to just be easy when you're working with this thick wire or thick gauged wire. You have to keep working with the top part up here, and then as I loosen this, I'm able to move this accordingly. So that was one thing that I noticed. So this is actually, when I'm working with the machine, it might be something that I prefer to work with standing up versus sitting down, because you need to be using more than one hand at a time, depending on what kind of project you're doing, and you might have more strength on your feet. One thing I noticed is I was trying to move this dial thing at the same, like earlier, and I put my hand here to like get a better grip, and my hand right here got caught in this part, and it like pinched my hand, and I still feel it, but it's okay.
So that's another thing. You just have to be careful how you're holding this kind of machine so that you can avoid injuries. But I'm just, I'm pretty, like, I wouldn't say extreme, but I wanted to work with some thicker wire so I could really see what I could do with it. So I'm gonna show you guys what it's like to flatten out a thinner piece of wire.
I'm just starting out, so I'm sure once I learn the groove of this machine, things will get easier. It didn't make like huge indentations on the wire, but you can see a slight one in there. If it slightly flattens it out, you gotta keep going through the machine and making it tighter and tighter and tighter until you get close to something like this. It doesn't change the malleability of the wire either. This is still quite hard to bend, just as much as this is. Well, actually that was like a little easier to bend. Taking a smaller piece of wire, I could assume, it'd be quite easier to put it through this machine, and it very much so is. You want to keep it steady so that you're continuously flattening the same side and not rotating it too much.
Yeah, working with a smaller piece of wire is much easier than what I was just showing you, working with a thicker one. And what I'm doing is I'm just rolling it forward, and then I'm rolling it back. And as I'm doing that, I'm tightening it up here so that it's putting more and more pressure on the copper to make it flatter. So you see how flat this wire now is? And a lot of people use hammers to get their wire this flat. But, with a rolling mill, you can just put your copper, and you can even put a design through it. This was the pre-roll, and then this was post. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's actually very exciting to see the look of this wire, because I'm gonna take my necklace off and show you guys a piece that I've made in the past with different texture copper wires.
As you can see, this one is called half round. One side of this wire is round and the other is flat. This one here is just like a flat piece of copper. So, I'll be able to use this flat piece of copper now in lieu of this, which is something I bought that was already flattened. I can now flatten my own and incorporate it into a design like this. So yeah, you can see I used square wire as the frame. Like, you can see it here as a frame for this necklace. And then there's there's just all different types of wire that I use in this piece, and I'm happy now that I have this machine that I can start creating different textures. And I'm gonna buy different rolls, because you can buy different rolls that have different designs already imprinted in them, and so I could make like a triangular type of copper wire, or I could make like a square type of wire, and then there's some that have patterns in there. I hope it was insightful for anyone who's learning this craft of jewelry making themselves, or those who just like to watch it. It's pretty fun to, find new tools and new ways to stay creative with them, and doing things that, maybe you never imagined. Like, it's quite fun to work with certain kinds of machinery. So, yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like in the end. Oh, and it actually, it elongates the copper wire. In the beginning, this piece was quite short, and now look how long it is. And I definitely will be using this flat copper wire in a design. It's beautiful. This piece started off about this size. Yep. So you can see how cool this rolling mill machine is, because now I have a longer piece of copper wire, which will allow me to utilize more scrap pieces of copper that I have, like this, and turn them into something like this. And you know, since it's longer and the copper was stretched upward and downward, it is now easier to bend. It's more malleable now. It's quite easy to bend. This is very exciting. And then, you know, this one is just a little bit harder to bend, still bendable. But this one is now extremely easy to bend. So, that's all.
Again, thank you guys for watching as I flatten this copper wire out. You know, and even this piece, I'm going to be working on this piece more. I want to see how flat I can get it. But yeah, this is exciting. You should consider getting a rolling mill if you want to just have some more fun with creating with jewelry and see what you can do of it, what you can make of it.